Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Cody Wittick. Cody, it's great to connect with you. You're the co-founder of Kynship. Let me give everybody a quick review on that. The agency you're paving the way for the future of influencer marketing. Over the course of 5 years, you've built a robust influencer program of 500 plus influencers, all through the foundation of seeding, while also working with household names such as LeBron James, Mike Trout, amongst many, many others. Let's talk about the power of influence today, right? And not only the power of influencing in the moment, but the longevity of influence, right? You know, what it takes to really be a consistent influencer. What is that today? You know, where attention spans are less than a goldfish, less than 7 seconds. Why I've moved the majority of my podcast to about 5 or 10 minute shows. So how do you keep consistent influence when you're an influencer?
I think the influencers that we've had the pleasure of working with, we don't have a roster of people by any means, but influencers are putting out extremely good content, and that's how they built their following. So that's the nature of the beast, is that the people have to, I think that's the negative side of things. They have to constantly be putting out great content, but you're seeing better and better content because of that, because it's so competitive.
Yeah. Let's talk about content. What makes good content? You know, is it long form, short form, a combination of both? Is it funny? Is it serious? Is it something you can put into motion immediately? Is it mindset? What's the formula of content from your perspective?
Would it be too straightforward to say whatever sells?
No, I don't think so.
No, I would say that point blank is like the content that's performing well for brands and for influencers itself. But also, I think it's dependent on the audience, right? If you're a funny person, you're going to make funny content. But I would say it's exactly touching to those things of what you're saying, attention. So is it thumb stopping? That's kind of a phrase that we use. Is it thumb stopping content? Like, does it stop you from scrolling in the feed based on creativity, based on engagement, things like that? All
right, so let's talk about you guys, your company, right? So you connect, you connect hundreds of thousands of influencers with brands. So when it comes to influence marketing, you know, your team is really in the game. And so what does that mean to somebody who's listening? Let's just start there, who doesn't even understand what that means. What does that mean?
Well, we'll go out, if they have a brand, we'll go out and find the right people on behalf of their brand. And most of the time, 99% of the time, we just want to get them the product into their hands. Certain percentage of those will end up posting. And then those posts will leverage that content within paid media. So that's kind of the skinny version of it.
Okay, good. And so when it comes to kind of marrying that, you know, is it any brand? Is it a brand that already has somewhat of a following? Is it a brand that is trying to get traction that's maybe brand new? Where in the continuum of brand development?
All the above. I would say most of the time you got to have some basic things set up. You got to have a website. You got to have a social media at least set up, so that when you do outreach to influencers, like, you have somewhat of an official business. So you got to know who your customer is before you start dabbling in influencer marketing, I would say. Some branding, some unboxing, packaging for your product, things like that.
Yeah. Can you talk about the difference between an influencer and maybe an ambassador, right? So I think a lot of times people talk about, you know, somebody who's maybe influencing, you know, is it just, what's the difference from your perspective?
Yeah, great question. The only difference I would say is an ambassador is someone who's consistently representing the brand. An influencer might be on a one-off basis, or it might just be that initial touch point. So I'm the brand, I reach out to you, John, you're the influencer. But when you transition to an ambassador is where we actually have an ongoing relationship consistently over time that we're exchanging certain things. You know, I'm giving you money, you're giving me posts or content, things like that.
Yeah. So, how do you, you know, what's kind of the, is that the idea, to go from an influencer to an ambassador?
Hopefully. I mean, that's majority of the brands that I talk to. That's what they want. They want a long-term community. That's the
Yeah.
word that they use. They want a community of people that really authentically love the brand.
Yeah.
It just means you got to start the right way. And then when those transition happens, engage with those influencers as humans, right?
Yeah. Talk about brands, building a community today, not brands, community. Well, community and brands, today, I think, my son and I, for example, wear a lot of Lululemon. But then a buddy of mine posted something that he loved Viore. So that's now pretty
Me
much
too.
what my son and I wear. And it was all from a social media post. And I tried it. I bought something for my son and I. We both loved it. And now that's what I get. And so that was my buddy who was.
You got influenced.
Yeah. I got influenced. Right. But it's so easy to be influenced and buy things today. Right. So in 4 seconds, I bought it. I knew I could return it. And so what do you do to prevent from becoming a commodity?
For the brands itself?
For the brands themselves, right? Because somebody is right behind you trying to create a new brand. And today you can just build a company. You can build $1 billion company in a couple of years without having any employees.
I would say it's, especially with influencer marketing, I'll just answer that because that's kind of my specialty.
Yeah.
You got to start the relationship the right way. You got to get them the product and distinguish yourself, because all the brands, that are doing influencer marketing are doing it in a very transactional nature. So it's, hey, John, I'll give you my product. I'll give you my Lululemon shorts. You give me 3 posts in return.
Yeah.
How you stand out is actually just not even asking for anything, just being so obsessed with the person, the influencer, being so thrilled that they could potentially represent your brand long term. That's where it starts to compound over time the more that you do that.
Yeah.
I think that's how you distinguish a brand from just a commodity.
Yeah, I love it. Talk to me about, or talk to the Think community about how somebody even gets started, right? So where do you get started today? So somebody who's listening to this, whether they're, I work with solopreneurs to Fortune companies, regardless of where they are, I think this level of understanding is sometimes more complicated than it really is when it comes to companies understanding what this really means, right? The yellow pages are yesterday's news. This is the future. So what's the first step that they can really do to move towards, this level of thinking, this mindset of influencer marketing?
I would break down their brand into who their customer is, and then I would find people within those niches. So you brought up Lululemon. Let's break them down into mommies, yogis, and fitness.
Yeah.
And find influencers within that. First, we already touched on people that you can break down your brand and see, am I ready to actually invest in this? And then if I'm ready to invest in this, I have a website, I have packaging, I have a product, I at least have 1 SKU. Then I would start thinking about who can I delegate influencer marketing to?
Yeah.
Because it is a massive investment, a massive time, training, things of that nature. In terms of that, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. Otherwise, outsource it to an agency such as Kynship or.
There you go. Well, you need
agencies.
to. It's not like if you're going to do. I'm a big believer. If you're going to do it right. Right. I love interviewing people on this podcast. I work with successful people who are stuck, and I want to get them unstuck. And so the shortest way to do something the best way is to hire people who know the way. So, I'm a big fan of that. So you can promote yourself. That's, I think, that's important. All right, quick speed round for you, Cody. Favorite book and why?
Favorite book. I'll just go with the most recent book that I just read. It was Bomber Mafia by Malcolm Gladwell. His recent book. I just love all of his stuff.
Yeah, all of his stuff is great.
Yeah, so I loved it.
Yeah. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
The right thing at the wrong time is the wrong thing.
All right, good. I like it. And one thing that everybody can do to increase their knowledge about influencer marketing is?
Follow me on Twitter.
Okay. And your Twitter handle is?
At Cody Wittick, at Cody_Wittick.
All right, good. Tell people who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
Ideal client is probably anyone above 2 million in top line revenue per year. They're a D2C e-commerce and they have a physical product.
Yeah, great. Think community. If you haven't been thinking about, influencer marketing and having that in your marketing budget, it may be a fit for you. And if it is, the first step is to do the research. So you may want to think about, reaching out to Cody if he is a good fit for you. Cody, anything else you want to kind of end with?
I need to be on more 10-minute podcasts. That's my biggest takeaway. So
Yeah. All right. Cody Wittick, co-CEO at Kynship. You can reach out to him there. That agency is paving the way for the future of influencer marketing. Cody, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks so much.